Funny how the media covers white riots versus black protests.
Breaking news.
Seems like when the protesters are black, the media uses some pretty harsh words.
The bad guys.
Lawlessness, looting,
wild animals,
criminals, and thugs.
Thugs. Isn't it the right word?
However, if you're white and you're tearing up the city because of a game, you're just young people.
Young people danced on a flipped-over car.
As UK fans did stupid things.
Some maybe got a little out of control.
Seeing a scene like this just shows how passionate the UK fans are.
It's so tough to lose, and unfortunately the ugly side that we sometimes see in sports.
And notice how the police always show up to a black protest in military-grade equipment, and yet the media claims they're just doing nothing.
It's inexplicable why the police are doing nothing.
Let's mobilize the National Guard.
If I'm a riot and I see the police doing nothing, I might feel like I have a license.
You would.
But at white riots, the cops actually are standing around doing nothing.
Another group of cops over there just standing there.
No one was really doing anything.
These guys look like they could be watching a parade. And why is it that the leadership of the black community is always called into question?
Where is the leadership?
Leadership.
The black leadership.
The absence of leadership.
And it goes back to leadership, but that leadership has to come from the community.
But no one ever questions the leadership of white parents who let their kids burn down and vandalize their college campus.
These are just young college students who think they're playing some kind of a game with police officers.
You know, sometimes they don't even call a white riot a riot.
Party gone awry.
Some fans got a bit too rowdy after the win.
A dispute, a bloody brawl.
There was some type of altercation.
Waco, 170 arrested, 9 people dead.
They're not thugs.
Baltimore, no deaths, but it's a riot, chock full of thugs.
Thugs.
Just thugs.
What if the media portrayed white rioters the same as black protesters? Let's switch the audio and see how it plays out.
Breaking news, violent protest.
What you're looking at is the unraveling of the civil society.
Criminals and thugs.
And they're raising hell, and they're destroying property.
These idiotic thugs, rioting and looting, are hurting their own people.
Wild animals burning buildings down.
Especially if they know the media's all there, right? Got the cameras on everyone. It's become its own reality show.
Who acts like that towards a police officer?
Not just gangs of kids anymore. They are often the kinds of kids that are called super predators. No conscience, no empathy. We can talk about...
Michaela is a 7th grader at a majority white middle school. Her responses completely change depending on the race of the children in the picture.
Marcy and Renee are in school together, and they're in the hallway, and I'd like you to tell me what you think is happening in this picture.
She probably looks like she's gonna steal it because Marcia's like, oh no, what happened? And he's like, hey, look, $20.
And so, do you think that Renee is doing something good, bad, or just neutral?
I think she's gonna take the money.
Do you think that Renee and Marcy are likely to be friends or not?
Not really.
And what do you think about Marcy's parents? Do you think they'd be comfortable with her being friends with Renee or not?
Well, if they find out the situation that happened, they might be a little concerned about if Renee's a thief.
Mm-hmm. In this one, we have Erica and Allison, and they're also in the hallway at school. Can you tell me what it seems is happening in this picture?
Allison looks like a sweet girl, so I think that she would pick up Erica's money and give it back to her.
Okay. So then, do you think Allison's doing something good, bad, or neutral?
Pretty good.
And what about Allison and Erica? Do you think they're probably friends or not so much?
Yeah, they're probably friends.
Okay. Do you think Erica's parents would like it if she was friends with Allison?
Yeah.
Her responses, according to our expert, Dr. Melanie Killen, could indicate a subconscious racial bias, a bias that kids develop from messages they hear at school, at home, the characters in the TV shows they watch, and what they see online.
Hey, Shalom. First and foremost, I want to give all praise to Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai. Double honors to the apostles and elders at Great Millstone. This is another shameful spewing on the so-called white man's glory, okay, which they are Edomites according to the Bible, the devil that the Bible speaks of, okay, which they're the counterpart of Satan. They're the wicked, all right, the sons of the wicked of the earth, all right, and they're being reserved for judgment for all the atrocious, demeaning, hurtful, and hateful acts that they've done to the nation of Israel. A lot of this information, that they have pretty much that they have done is resurfacing. information is coming out about the wickedness of the so-called white man, and they can't do anything to stop it. Okay, so this is shameful spewing on his glory, which the so-called white men and women think that they've somehow in some way procured America, got America by their own hard work and labor, which we know that's a lie, because the so-called Negro, Latin, and Native America built America. All right. And we are the reason why America is rich, all right, due to the free slave labor and other countless things that we've done to keep this place going, the inventions, so on and so forth. But this lesson is based off of Habakkuk 2:15 and verse 16, because the so-called white man is, pretty much painted this picture or this personage of the so-called Negro to the whole world, painting us as buffoons, idiots, inferior, pretty much to the whole world, and we're going to see, the hypocrisy, all right? None of you Christians, y'all won't defend us. Nobody will stand up for the nation of Israel and all the things that we suffered. Instead, y'all want to love everybody, and y'all want to leave off judgment. You don't want to stand up for real justice, but, once again, that's our job. They're calling us HBI, the Hebrew, or Black Hebrew, BHI, whatever, and we're diverse, but like I said, this is nothing more than a continuous, onslaught, a continuous, war against the nation of Israel. All right. We don't believe in religion. All right. We go off the facts and truth through the spirit and power of Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai. Okay. So I know I'm rambling, but it's a lot on my mind, but this is Habakkuk 2:15. Woe unto him that giveth his neighbor drink, that puttest thy bottle to him, and makest him drunken also, that thou mayest look on their nakedness. All right. So, and I'm gonna give you an example of how the so-called white man has done that, because what the scripture is saying, they're basically forcing us and to act a certain way or carry out certain things. All right. So they can look upon our shame, because when you're naked, that's shameful. All right. And we were naked. We were in a vulnerable state of turmoil. We were very vulnerable. All right. The things that they did to the men in front of the women and children. All right. They gave power to the women. Okay. They broke the men. All right. I believe it's buck breaking. They had sex with the men. They raped our forefathers in front of the, our foremothers and, and their children. And it's a shameful spewing on the so-called white man's glory, because America is not great. All right. It was never great. It was brought up on prejudice, on racism, and nobody really wants to defend the nation of Israel. All right. Thou art filled with shame for glory. Drink thou also, because it's going to happen to you so-called white people. All right. And let thy foreskin be uncovered. All right. And the foreskin is being uncovered. All right. It says, thus the cup of the Lord's right hand shall be turned unto thee, and shameful spewing shall be on thy glory. So this is a shameful spewing. All right. The evil things that they have done to us in front of the whole world. All right. Stereotyped us. Okay. Created these characters, which I'm going to go into, to pretty much demean us, degrade us, give us low self-esteem. All right, okay, so these are the illicit, imaginations and hatred, all right, and hurtful things that the so-called white man has been doing to us for ages now, man. And nobody's saying nothing about it. They just want to sweep this under the rug. In fact, they want to play the Jewish Holocaust was more detrimental to history. In actuality, it was a shaming, it was the demeaning of a whole race of people. in front of the whole world. All right. Now we understand that these are the curses. These are part of the curses that we had to endure. All right. Deuteronomy 28 and 37, which I'll get into. All right. I'll just pull up another tab really quick. I'm gonna read the definition caricature, and then I'm gonna show you exactly what some of the caricatures that the so-called white man has invented. We haven't invented this, They also use certain figures of our people who are leaders and who are to be looked up to as prompts or puppets to push certain ideologies. They call it culture creation. All right, and it's a term that they've used, memetics, which I'm gonna get into, which is nothing but modern day memes. You see them on the internet all the time, and I'll go into the definition on that. But let me get this curse that we're under. This is Deuteronomy 28, and I'm gonna do two scriptures really quick. So Deuteronomy 28 and 37. All right. It says, "And thou shalt become an astonishment." All right. A proverb and a byword among all nations, whither the Lord shall lead thee. Now, this is end time prophecy. All right. Because the children of Israel, according to the scriptures, in the end times, we're going to be in a state of peril. Now, those people that's claiming they're Jewish, they're not in a state of peril. All right. As a matter of fact, they get welfare. They get vast amounts of money given to them. All right. They get a pass in society. We don't. All right. They got a law which they call anti-Semitism or being anti-Semitic. Okay, where they can sue anybody they want to. Hey, in America's culture, America was started on, the citizens were always suing each other, getting over on each other, which shows you, the makeup and their whole character, man, is all out of whack, man. But the thing, I'm not going to stray away from the topic, but you see a lot of these things don't fit these other nations that claim they're the Israelites. All right, they don't even say they're Israelites. They just say they're Jewish. Okay, they want to talk about Abraham being their forefather, but why don't you let everybody know, let everybody else know that they're Semitic, those that fall under the lineage of being Semitic. All right, meaning they're from the lineage of Shem. Okay, it ain't just you so-called white people who's from the lineage of Shem. All right, you got the so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans who are Shemites. Also, you got the East Indians, Persian, what they call the Iranians. They're Shemites. All right, you got the Ishmaelites who are Shemitic. Okay, all right. You got the Chinese and the Japanese who are Shemitic. All right, so why don't you let the whole world know who's falls up under that category? All right, because we're the ones that y'all being anti-Semitic to. All right, we're the ones that have to deal with it. But the Most High is going to plead our cause. All right, so it says a proverb and a byword among all nations, whither the Lord shall lead thee. Are we not a proverb and a byword? Is this not a proverb and a byword? Stereotypes of proverbs and bywords. And we're going to go to the word really quick. All right. The astonishment, Shema. I'm gonna break down some of these words, man. An astonishment, and thou shalt become an astonishment, as that says. All right. So the nation of Israel is supposed to be an astonishment, a waste, a desolate, a desolation, a wonderful. It says waste, horror, appallment, a waste. Are we not a waste in every city in America? Are we not in the ghettos in every city in America? Look how the media perpetrates us. All right. Look how they propagate us. And I'm gonna give you, pretty much a split image on how they treat us compared to everybody else, compared to themselves in the media. All right, it's evident. It's evident that y'all have that it's an onslaught. It's a hatred. All right, it's a biasness that the so-called white man has towards the nation of Israel. All right, which once again, blacks, Latins, and Native Americans. All right, so it says appallment, horror. All right. So are we not in a horrible state? Are we not suffering horribly? All right. Is it not horror when you walk the streets or when you look at the news and all you see is black people killing each other? All right? That's because of the conditions we live in. It's the pretty much the lab rat system. I just call it that. You know, we're pretty much a project, okay? Because the so-called white man made the conditions that we live in. You see what they did to Wall Street, Black Wall Street, when we tried to have our own banks and have our own community and be a part or separate from the so-called white man's institutions. All right, but they still come down on us. All right, and when you read the scripture, I'll get into that because I don't want to keep rambling because my mind keep going everywhere. You know. And the scriptures talk about the captive exile, all right, in Isaiah, okay? We're captive exiles, you know? We don't have a homeland that we can go back to. We actually do have a homeland, but it's occupied by imposters, okay? And they don't want to really give us our true history on who we really are because that means it's over with. Their society and their well-being and sustenance is over with. It'll be over with if they let the world know who we are. But we're the ones that are standing up, okay? So, I'll wait for Isaiah 50. It's 51 and 14, but I'll wait for that. Let's just keep going in these words. So, a proverb, all right? A proverb is a byword, a parable, a proverbial saying, aphorism, similar to, all right? In this case, it's not sentences of ethical wisdom. All right, so usually of metaphorical nature, hence a simile. All right. So, and this, hold on, let me get. These are the similes that they try to draw us after. Like once again, Jim Crow, that was created by a white man. The zip code, that's all created by the so-called white man. All right. So let's go back here. And let's go to the word byword, all right? And the Hebrew word is shanayan, or na'ah. All right, Salakia. A sharp word, sharp cutting word, taunt, a gid, all right? So after this lines up perfectly, okay? A sharp or pointed saying, hence a byword. All right, and I'm getting to the scripture that tell you that they shoot. You know, they say, I think it's Psalm 64. All right, they pretty much, say sharp things or things that cut. Evil things. All right, wicked things toward the nation of Israel. So caricature. I go into this word. All right, a picture, description, or imitation of a person or thing, which goes back into the proverb, in which certain striking characteristics are exaggerated in order to create a comic or grotesque effect. All right, and when you read Jim Crow, one of the black stereotypes, all right, this is a grotesque effect. All right, it's like, yeah, so it's a grotesque effect. It says originating racist black stereotypes, originating in the white man's characterization of plantation slaves and free blacks during the era of minstrel shows, 1830 to 1890. All right, the caricatures took such a firm hold on the American imagination that audiences expected any person with dark skin, no matter what their background, to conform to one or more of the stereotypes. And it's no different from today. All right, in the media, they play that we're super predators, which I got the video on that. Which Hillary Clinton, said about us. And in all actuality, they created the idea of that was a social construct. All right. So Jim Crow. Okay, the term Jim Crow originated in 1830 when a white minstrel show performer. So this is a white man who started this in 1830. Thomas Daddy Rice blackened his face with burnt cork and danced a jig while singing the lyrics to the song Jump Jim Crow. All right? So this is, once again, these are the grotesque, personages that the so-called white man, and stereotypes that the so-called white man has put on us. All right? So this is the hatred. It shows you the hatred and the demeaning, or the demeaning things that the so-called white man has been doing to us throughout all history. All right. So Zip Coon, first performed by George Dixon in 1834. Zip Coon made a mockery of free blacks, an arrogant, ostentatious figure who dressed in high style and spoke in a series of malaprops and puns that undermined his attempts to appear dignified. And that's what they want the world to see. It's like we're, like we're not upright, like even though they dressed casually, or how can I say what's the word? In high style, I use that word. We're still buffoons. We're still idiots. Okay, we're still inferior. And Kanye West said it. Even though you're in a Benz, you still even though you buy a Benz. So if a black man, a so-called Negro buys a Benz, he's still a nigga in the coupe. So it doesn't matter what social status you have. The so-called white man propagated to the world that we're idiots, all right? And we're not idiots, okay? But this is the shameful spewing on his glory, man, because he thought he can rise above us and be perpetrated as though he's upright, and really he's the buffoon, okay? The so-called white man is the idiot, all right? He's the one that's inferior. That's why he propagated all these things to the world. It says Jim Crow and Zip Coon eventually merged into a single stereotype called simply Coon. Mammy is a source of earthy wisdom who is fiercely independent. See, they painted the so-called black woman as though they had wisdom, and the scriptures speak otherwise. Once they took the personas of us being upright, being able to be civil, all right, they gave the so-called black woman all the power. Okay, once they took it out of our hands, all right. So it says fiercely independent, meaning this me no man, all right. That's bullshit, because the so-called black woman needs her men, all right? It says in Brooks, no back talk. Although her image changed a little over the years, she was always a favorite of advertisers, all right? So they advertise this to the whole world, man. When they sell products, this was part of their advertising, man. Ain't your mama and all of that, man. That's madness, man. And a lot of grandmothers and elderly women, they still have this personage. They still have that pseudo personage that the so-called white man has created. Okay, Uncle Tom. Toms are typically good, gentle, religious, and sober. Images of Uncle Toms were another favorite advertisers in Uncle Ben. See, and we know Uncle Ben. That's the rice. All right. It says it's still being used to sell rice. So they still use these degrading imagery to depict us, man, because it's in your subconscious. Buck is a large black man who is proud, sometimes menacing, you see, and they depicted us as a rapist, all right? The first movie that was produced by Hollywood, they propagated that we were rapists, man, and always interested in white women. And that's not true for the most part, man, Wench, Jezebel, the temptress during the minstrel era. Wenches were typically a male and female garb. You see, in film, wenches were usually female mulattoes, all right, meaning black. Pickaninny, all right, pickaninnies have bulging eyes, unkempt hair, red lips, and wide mouths into which they stuff huge slices of watermelon. You see, look at the depiction, man. The mulatto, a mixed blood male or female in film, often portrayed as a tragic figure who either intentionally or unintentionally passes for white until they discover they have Negro blood, or are discovered by any another character to be black. These stereotypes were staples during the minstrel era and carried over into vaudeville, film, and television. All right. So, and like today, man, they still do it to us to this day. They do it in their colleges. All right. They do it in their mediums, whether it be TV, whether it be radio. All right. So let's go back to Habakkuk 2 and 15. Woe unto them that giveth his neighbor drink. All right. That's pretty much the philosophy that y'all give us, you know, which is all it is. It's crap. All right. It says that puttest thy bottle to him and makest him drunken also, that thou mayest look on their nakedness. And our nakedness is our shame. This is shameful, man. When we were vulnerable in slavery, so you were able to do this. Okay, you were able to propagate to the whole world that we're imbeciles. All right, that we can't produce, we can't provide, we can't self-sustain ourselves. All right, and you systematically conspired against us to take our dignity away, to take our uprightness away, by painting us as buffoons, man. You know, Habakkuk 2 and 16. And to this day, you're not sorry. Y'all didn't make amends. Y'all didn't break even. You know, the Most High is gonna break even. It says, "Thou art filled with shame for glory. Drink thou also." Now in the kingdom, you're gonna be niggas. All right. We're gonna do whiteface. You know, and let thy foreskin be uncovered. You know, the cup of the Lord's right hand shall be turned unto thee, and shameful spewing shall be on thy glory. All right. So the shameful spewing is what? The truth coming out about who you are, what the so-called white man has done to procure or self-sustain himself in history. You know, it's nothing dignified about, you know, degrading people so you can make yourself look better. All right. So let's go into memetics, because they use, like I mentioned earlier, they use our leaders to, how can I say? They use our leaders for culture creation, creating the culture. Hey, it's a Jewish man. I think his name is Lior something. But he, you know, they pour millions and billions of dollars into these industries like hip hop or rap, and they propagate and they set up people to become figures of society. And people follow them, you know, and it's some demoralized, immoral imagery that they're pushing for us to be, and and our people follow it. All right, they follow these ideals that, you know, they rap about and so on and so forth. All right, memetics is a study of information based on an analogy with a Darwinian evolution. Proponents describe memetics as an approach to evolutionary models of cultural information transfer. Critics regard memetics as a pseudoscience, which it is. Memetics involves sidestepping the traditional concern with the truth of ideas and beliefs, and instead involving a focus on the success of ideas and beliefs. All right. So the term meme was coined in Richard Dawkins' 1976 book, The Selfish Gene. But Dawkins later distanced himself from the resulting field of study. All right, so you had people that took over his study. Analogous to a gene, if I'm saying it right, the meme was conceived as a unit of culture, an idea, belief, pattern, or behavior. And that's what it is. That's what memes are. All right, an idea, belief, pattern, or behavior, which is hosted in the minds of one or more individuals, in which can reproduce itself in a sense of jumping from the mind of one person to the mind of another. So this is a sophisticated way. All right. So the white man is the scriptures say he's the anointed cherub. All right, meaning pretty much they're pretty much wise. All right, so this is a sophisticated way of propagating and this social construct, these social constructs which are invented by the so-called white man, these personages, these caricatures, these exaggerated forms of pretty much us, of who we are, basically, So I think I'm gonna cut it right there. But it's nothing but an idea, belief pattern, or a pattern of behavior, which other people pick up on subconsciously. So this thing is done on a sophisticated level. It's done on a high level by these think tanks and institutions who, from the beginning, wanted to destroy us as a people. They wanted to destroy our, how can I say, our credibility. We were highly intelligent during slavery, highly intelligent, But this is the so-called white man's history, all right, and it keeps coming. Their nature keeps coming out, man. They're crooked people. But like I said, it was a curse. Going back to that curse, Deuteronomy 27 and 37. All right. Okay. Because this does not, how can I say, this does not fit those so-called Jews over there who call themselves Jewish over there in Israel, the state of Israel, all right, which the Most High didn't give them that land. It was given to them by a British mandate, all right. So it says, and thou Deuteronomy 28:37, and thou shalt become an astonishment, a proverb, and a byword among all nations, but the Lord shall lead thee. Okay, so we became an astonishment. All right, okay, meaning something that pretty much that. So astonishment pretty much means amazement, surprise. So and a stupefaction. A surprise is surprised by astonishment, meaning that, hey, a lot of our people didn't know we were slaves, man. Don't even know why we're being called all these things and treated like we are everywhere we go. Even in Japan, they look at us like we're crazy. They laugh and they joke, all right? But that's all scriptural, all right? When you read Lamentations, it tells you that, the nations hiss and wag their heads at us, which I'll go into right now. Let me see. There we go. I just hit the points. You can read the whole Lamentations. It's good and tell you about our fall and pretty much how the nations, how they dealt with us and how they feel about us. Lamentations 1 and 4. The ways, Salaki. The ways of Zion do mourn, because none come to the solemn feast. All her gates are desolate. Her priests sigh. Her virgins are afflicted, and she is in bitterness. And this is just details of our history. When we had an establishment, the Lord took it away because he looked at us as an enemy. When you read Lamentation, it tells you about that as well. Her adversaries are the chief. See, our enemies are the chief people in the earth, the chief rulers in the earth. All right, that's why our downfall is so perpetual. That's why our condition is so perpetual. All right, because they pour millions and billions of dollars into what? Once again, to push these stereotypes, to take our dignity away. Okay, to take our credibility away. All right, so no one trusts us. So it says her enemies prosper. And, come on, man. Look at all the companies that made money off of free slave labor, man. Come on, man. This is not no made up thing that we're trying to connect the dots with. The dots are being connected. The truth is going out, man. We know who you are, and it's going to come a time where you know that your time is going to be up, according to Revelations 12 and 12, man. And then Job 14 and 5, you know. So the time is going to come where you're going to have to come after us because we have the truth, all right? Her enemies prosper, for the Lord hath afflicted her for the multitude of her transgressions. And part of our slavery, part of the white man's putting us in slavery is because of the Most High, as you know, it's pretty much punishing us for our transgressions. But the scriptures speak about them forwarding the affliction, all right? And the Most High is going to pay them back for the hatred that they had, okay? It says, our adversaries are the chief, her enemies prosper, for the Lord hath afflicted her for the multitude of her transgressions, meaning the nation of Israel. For her children are gone into captivity before the enemy, which that happened countless times throughout history, man. This ain't the first time. This is not the first time we was put in slavery. All right? And from the daughter of Zion, all her beauty is departed. Her princes are become like harts that find no pasture. All right? And they are gone without strength before the pursuer. All right? So what is the word heart mean? All right? A deer with no pasture. All right? A stag. All right? And deer with no pasture, man, they can't find, you know, water to sustain them, you know, because a lot of animals are nomadic, you know, so they travel because they have to, you know, they don't stay in one place. So much like us, and you know, the similitude is evident. You know, we don't have no pasture, you know, we don't have no place or anything that can sustain us as we go, you know. So a pasture, a feeding place, you know. So here we go. So Lamentations, I'm gonna go to 3 and 63 real quick because it tells you, hold on. Give me a second. So I'm gonna read verses Lamentations 3 and 45 or 46. All right. Lamentations 3 and 46. All our enemies have opened their mouths against us. You know, they have opened their mouths against us, man. You know, they create the stereotypes. All right, to degrade us, demean us. Okay. Verses 63. All right. Behold, they're sitting down and they're rising up. I am their music. All right. So the so-called white man has as entertainment. All right. Mocking, derisive song. Hey, man, come on, man. All right. The term Jim Crow originated in 1830 when a white minstrel show performer, Thomas Daddy Rice, blackened his face and burnt cork and danced a jig while singing the lyrics to the song, Jump Jim Crow, you know. So, man, it's lining up perfect, man. It's lining up perfect who you are and what, you know, the things that y'all have done. Because slavery is in the Bible. All the things that's happening in the world is in the Bible. The hatred of the white man toward the nation of Israel, you blacks, Latins, and Native Americans, is in the Bible, you know. What proves this? Ezekiel 35 and 5, which is one of my favorite scriptures, you know. Ezekiel 35 and 5, but thou hast had a perpetual hatred and hast shed the blood of the children of Israel by the force of the sword in the time of their calamity, in the time that their iniquity had an end. All right? That happened during slavery, man. All right? And guess who it's talking about? Let me see. I think it says Mount Seir. Mount Seir, which is Edom, man. You go into the word Mount Seir, that's where the Edomites dwelt. All right? Now they might even try and change it, you know? See, here we go. A patriarch of the Horites, inhabitants of Edom, before the descendants of Esau. All right, the Edomites. All right, the land of Edom, south of the Dead Sea. Now that's who it's talking about. It's talking about Edom. All right, you can't hide this, man. Y'all have a perpetual hatred. All right, and it's an old ancient, hatred. It leads. It's how can I say it? I use a term for it. Well, it doesn't come to mind, but if it does, I'll mention it. But the term, I use to, just describe their hatred for us and how it goes back in history, their hatred for us throughout all ages. All right, so it says, by the force of the sword in the time of their calamity. I'll read it again. Because thou hast had a perpetual hatred and hast shed the blood of the children of Israel by the force of the sword in the time of their calamity, and the time that their iniquity had an end. Therefore, as I live, said the Lord, I will prepare thee unto blood, and blood shall pursue thee. Sit thou hast not hated blood, even blood shall pursue thee. All right, since y'all didn't hate putting us to, pretty much killing us, raping, robbing us, it shouldn't. The Most High is not going to have a problem with doing the same to y'all. Okay. I think it's Zechariah 1:15, I believe. Let me see, because the scriptures talk about. Yep, here we go. Zechariah 1:15, and I am very sore displeased with. All right, so Zechariah 1:15, it says, and I am very sore displeased with the heathen that are at ease. All right, are they not at ease? Okay, look at all the neighborhoods that we suffer in. We're suffering. All right, they don't fit the bill, man. They don't fit the atrocities that's supposed to be been done to the nation of Israel. Okay, and said they're at ease, man. They don't have to worry about the police pulling them over, searching them. Okay. They don't have to worry about stop and frisk, It says, for I was but a little displeased, and they helped for the affliction. All right. So when in the time of our calamity, when slavery was pretty much over with, what did they do? They took to their mediums, and they used their mediums to spread their propaganda. Blackface, which they created these personages. They created these caricatures, these exaggerated ideals of who we are, And they use memetics to help push and for their agenda. All right. So my next scripture is Psalms. We'll go to 64. Okay. All right. Because the scriptures plainly explain who our enemy is and what they have been doing for the past, throughout all antiquity and now. So Psalms 64:1. Hear my voice, O power, O God. In my prayer, preserve my life from fear of the enemy. The so-called white man is our enemy. Hide me from the secret counsel of the wicked, all right, from the insurrection of the workers of iniquity, which, hey, man, that's everything that the so-called white man has been doing, man. They are the counsel of the wicked, the insurrection of the workers of iniquity, okay, who whet their tongue like a sword and bend their bows to shoot their arrows, even bitter words. Is this not bitter words, man? It says that they may shoot in secret at the perfect, which are the nation of Israel, you blacks, lands, and Native Americans. You're just in a rut right now. You're just at the bottom of society, but you're really perfect. Suddenly do they shoot at him and fear not. All right? They didn't fear that demeaning us and making us look like, predators and all this other stuff would really come back to bite them, which it is, man, because it's a shameful spewing on their glory. Their glory is that America is great and that they got America, by way of, hard work and dedication, whatever, but they didn't, man. They got America by exploitation, rape, rob, and murder, Okay, so let me see. There's a little bit more. It says they encourage themselves in an evil matter. They communally snares privately. All right, these are some of the snares that they laid privately, using mimetics. All right, to influence, our people to follow these iniquitous ways, man, or these wicked ways. Okay, so it says they communally ensnares privately. They say, "Who shall see them?" All right. They search out iniquities. They accomplish a diligent search. Both the inward thought of every one of them and the heart is deep. All right. These are searching out iniquities. Finding someone to perpetuate these evil ideals to push on the minds of regular people. All right. All right. So it says, "But God shall shoot at them with an arrow, and suddenly shall they be wounded." So, hey man, like the scriptures say, man. Let me see. What does it say? God is not mocked. I think it's Galatians. Let's see. Salaki. Galatians 6 and 7, it says, "Be not deceived, God is not mocked, for whatsoever a man soweth, that shall he also reap." So the so-called white man sowed what? All right, he sowed evil and wickedness, and exploiting people, making people feel like shit. So he's going to reap the same, man. All right, he's going to reap the same, and that's why this country, America, is falling, and they're trying to find a way to make it great again. It'll never be great again. All right. In order for it to be great again, it has to. You have to go through the same things in which, in history, we have to go through the same things we went through in the history of America for this place to be great again. All right. Because contrary to popular belief, this place was brought up in wickedness. It was, rape, rob, and murder. Exploiting people, making people bend to their will, So this is the 11 most racist U.S. presidents, okay? And yes, George Walker Bush, all right? Let me see. And we understand what happened during the New Orleans, that flood that happened in New Orleans. But I'm going to read a few of them. Not only, and it goes back in history. It gives you the little timeline. It says, not only did President Bush's No Child Left Behind Act, NCLBA, in 2003 increase the stranglehold on the standardized testing on America's children tests, children tests, anti-racists have long argued were racist. NCLBA more or less encouraged funding mechanisms that decreased or did not increase funding to schools when students were struggling or not making improvements on tests, thus privately leaving the neediest students of color behind. All right. And I was during that. I was in high school during that era, where I was transitioning from middle school to high school, which, I failed the 8th grade, but they still passed me. They passed me along, But it says, then 2 years later, President Bush's Federal Emergency Management Agency, FEMA, publicly left thousands of stranded black folks behind after Hurricane Katrina hit on August 29, 2005. While reporters quickly reached the Gulf Coast, federal officials made excuses for their delays. I'm going to just read, just a little bit on that, all right? But this is the truth coming out about you so-called white people, man. Y'all was always racist, okay? Most presidents made this list for what they did. President Eisenhower made this list for what he did not do. He made this list as a representative of all those U.S. presidents who did nothing to stop the tree predations of slavery and segregation and mass incarceration. So they had opportunities to do things to help us when they didn't, just like Obama had, man. You know, when NAACP lawyers persuaded the U.S. Supreme Court to rule Jim Crow as unconstitutional in 1954, President Eisenhower did not endorse Brown versus Board of Education and drag his feet to enforce it. So it took a long time, basically. All right, he procrastinated. So whenever these so-called white men look at our condition, they don't give a damn, you know? They drag their feet. Hey, man, and we can look up all the racist shit that you presidents and that you, psychiatrists or, therapists have said throughout all history. Margaret Sanger being one of the top people because she created Planned Parenthood, which today they killed millions of babies, yearly, and thanks, to the no integrity having so-called Negro women and Latin women who want to be whores, and don't defend them, but this is a trend of racism that's been passed down, Hey, in the beginning of the video, you had Hillary Clinton calling us super predators. They don't want to get to the origin of the problem. In fact, they just want to, bring in a solution. And really, they just want to kill you blacks, Latins, and Native Americans off, But I'm going to end the lesson on this. Habakkuk 2:15, warn to him that giveth his neighbor drink, and put thy bottle to him, and maketh him drunken also, that thou mayest look on their nakedness, all right, which the so-called white man has done, all right? They're looking on our nakedness because we were in a vulnerable state during slavery, all right? And what did they do to help? Nothing. In fact, they perpetuated this, pretty much, this evil depiction of us, to the world and to the people of America. So anytime they look at a black person, they think, oh, look at this coon, look at this, this uncivil, this unsustainable, this inferior person, And a lot of you Americans are guilty of that, man. A lot of you Americans, but nobody want to hear our cries, But like I said, the Most High will, man, and He's gonna punish these nations, okay? He's gonna punish these nations for all that they have done. All right. You know what? I'm gonna give one more scripture. I think it's Zechariah. If I'm not mistaken. Look at my Bible first. And this is the conclusion to the whole matter. The world is going to suffer for the injustices that they, and the complete ignorance and the complete inconsideration of our, of our peril, of our condition. You're going to suffer for that, man. So let me get Zechariah chapter. Let me see. Just bear with me for a second. All right, so the scripture is Zephaniah. Zephaniah, the 3rd chapter in the 19th verse. All right, because this is what the Lord is going to do for us. Since nobody else wants to help us, you got these Christians talking all this madness about God loves everybody, and pretty much God is, for everybody, and everybody has the opportunity for salvation, when that's a complete lie. The Most High is going to pay you nations back for what you've done to the children of Israel. All right. So this is Zephaniah 3:19. Behold, at that time I will undo all that afflict thee. All right. And I will save her that halted, and gather her that was driven out. All right? And I will get them praise and fame in every land where they have been put to shame. So we're gonna get our fame back. You know, it ain't gonna be no, that glory from playing basketball. You know, which y'all praise. You praise the athletes and all of that. We're gonna get a greater fame than that. You know, we're gonna be looked at as the righteous. You know, the ones that stood up for the Most High Yahweh and His Word. You know, and Yahweh Shai. All right, and the truth. All right. So everywhere that we just put to shame, man, we're gonna get fame. Everywhere. All right. So, you know, really, the so-called white man's efforts, which what he did was tremendous. On a high level. You know. But the Most High is gonna erase all of that. All right. Verse 20. And at that time, will I bring you again, even in the time that I gather you. For I will make you, so the Most High is going to gather the nation of Israel, not the British mandate. For I will make you a name and a praise among all people of the earth, when I turn back your captivity before your eyes, said the Lord, said Yahweh. Why Yahweh Shai, man. All right? So the whole earth is going to see us rise again, man. And we're going to be feared again, okay? And with that, I just wanted to, this has been a shameful spewing. In the so-called white man's glory, which they're Edomites according to the Bible. And, I'm going to give all praises to Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, a double honors to the apostles and those that great millstone. Shalom.